Pain and Pleasure. No, those aren't our names. I'm Simon. This is Michael. We're at Summer Game Fest, and you just got to go hands-on with Hellraiser, which I've heard is just a wonderfully colourful, just fun time.
Please don't tell everyone else that that's what this game is, because it is brutal. If you're familiar with the Hellraiser series,
I am.
Oh yeah, you are, Simon. It is. It's like I don't know if I would call it horror, but it is. It's pretty violent. It's pretty gruesome. And Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival, the full name of the game, is kind of like a prequel to the original Hellraiser movie. It takes place 20 years beforehand, and they actually brought the original actor for Pinhead, Doug Bradley, I believe. He's voicing Pinhead in this one as well. And also it has a lot of the themes that you have seen in Hellraiser. And even though I'm not too familiar with it, I am intrigued by this game because I was surprised by how much it adapts from the modern first-person Resident Evil games. It's paced that way. It has a lot of the same mechanics, and like the way you move through the world, solve puzzles, progress, the way enemy encounters are designed, inventory management. I was like, oh, this is basically a Resident Evil game in the universe of Hellraiser.
Yes.
And that seems like it's a really good fit. I mean, you played a lot more at other points.
I've played this game at Gamescom last year. I've actually visited the studio in Serbia to play this game, and yeah, I've seen like different sides of this game each time I've played it, and they've all been disgusting to an extent, but you know, all enjoyable.
That's just what it is, man.
It's what it is. I mean, yeah, if you don't have context of what the Hellraiser series is, it's basically about this other dimension of beings called the Xenobites who come into our world and basically offer people bargains for like the ultimate sort of like pain is pleasure rituals. I mean, there's a lot of BDSM, there's a lot of chains, there's a lot of hooks, you know, there's a lot of blood, and yeah, it's not for the faint-hearted, but like, yeah, each time I've played this game, I've seen a different side of it. Like, there are almost, like you mentioned, Resident Evil sections. We'll talk about it in a minute. There's almost like a PT section.
Absolutely.
I've played a bit that's almost got like almost slight immersive sim Dishonored bits to it, because you have this Genesis configuration, which is their version of the Lament configuration from the films, which is this puzzle box that summons the Xenobites essentially, which you can use basically as telekinesis powers and like rip like nails out of walls and then fire them back at enemies. There's a lot going on here, and I don't know, I think it's interesting. It's each time I play, I'm like, oh, I'm having a surprisingly good time here. What did you think in general? Yeah,
I like that you mentioned sort of that immersive sim twist to it with the Genesis configuration. I think that's kind of the thing that will distinguish it from what you might see from a Resident Evil game, because you're manipulating the environment to your advantage. So there was a combat encounter I had in like an atrium in a house, and I was ambushed. So in a moment of panic, I just I just shot all my guns, and I ran out of ammo. But I'm like, oh right, I have the Genesis configuration. I can pull a ceiling fan and then throw it at them. I can manipulate fire and then burn a group of enemies with an AoE. So just that element alone kind of adds a lot to the combat. So that's also why I think I also had a great time with it. It's just like, it's not trying to be one specific thing. It's borrowing a lot of elements that we've seen that are good ideas and then contextualizing them in the Hellraiser world. And you had mentioned some of the sections that feel like PT. So you play as Aiden, who's a gang member and has this really contentious relationship with his girlfriend, who her soul is taken away, and
I hate when that happens.
Happens, you know, it happens to the best of us. What can you do? Well, you sell your soul and you try to find her, and there's like these horror sections where you go through your old house and you go through a hallway sequence that is just like PT. And it repeats and it repeats and it repeats until you can figure out what the context clues are telling you, whether it's things written on the wall or an object you have to interact with. Like, there was a cell phone I picked up and I had to scroll through all the messages, and then it printed out this weird photo from a photocopier, and then that was my clue to open the next door and progress in this.
Because there are puzzles, right?
Yeah. There's stuff like that, and then like, if you don't figure it out, they're gonna keep sending you through the rooms, and then when you get to these rooms, there's like kind of these surrealist moments that are bloody and disgusting, but they're also horrifying, but they're also in tune with what Hellraiser is. And then going more into the puzzle stuff, you have the Labyrinth, where you are manipulating how pathways are put together, and that's how you progress through there. So again, speaking to how many things that this game is pulling from that we've seen from other games, putting them all together. And it was only a short 30-minute demo, but from that, I feel like I saw a lot of what this game is offering.
I spent time in the Labyrinth too, not personally, you know, but in the game, and my experience was different. It was more, I was being chased by the Chatterer, who is one of the most famous Cenobites. He basically, it's quite intense because you're running, trying to pick the right direction to go, solving puzzles on the fly of the cube, while all you can hear in the back of your head is like this chattering teeth noise, which is really quite disturbing. But yeah, it's looking grim, but in a good way. I think they're pushing this to the limits. Every time I've spoken to the devs, they're like pretty much admitting, yeah, deliberately, we're trying to push this as far as we can go and get a rating. They have already got an ESRB rating, which is, you know, well done to them, because there's a lot in this game. But yeah, I don't know, what would you like to see more from it, that you maybe to convince you this is something that could approach the level of a Resident Evil?
I think for this is what happens with storytelling.
Yes.
That's always the thing for me is, you know, I mean, not that Resident Evil is necessarily a storytelling powerhouse. It's not narrative focused, but there are elements of that.
It's always
lore.
engaging.
Yeah, it's always engaging. I'm always curious what happens next, next game and all that. And with Hellraiser, I want something that is, that kind of gives me the reasons why everyone else is attached to the franchise, but on its own terms. And so far, like premise-wise, I think it is doing that. Also, when it comes to gameplay, I want to see more of how the combat encounters are designed, because I was just ambushed and I just like started unloading on enemies, and like the gunplay isn't the best.
No,
it's serviceable, so you're not going to get that punchy, satisfying feel that you might get from other first-person horror games with shooting in it. But I want to see how much we can use the Genesis configuration to play around with the environment. I think that could be maybe the thing that really does help it stand out from everything else. But again, no, this is going to be an 8 to 10 hour game. I asked the developers, you know, how long is this game? 8 to 10 hours makes sense for this style of game. But as you get through that, I want to see, you know, how much am I interested in Aiden's story, and what happens with his girlfriend, and how does it tie into what we do know about Hellraiser? And do I have those combat encounters toward the end where they're really intense, using all the different elements that they have and mechanics in this game? So, but I don't know. If this is any indication of what happens later on in the game, it's looking pretty good.
And that is all we have from Hellraiser at Summer Game Fest. You can check out the latest trailer on IGN and anything else you want, really. We've got a ton of stuff. Watch it.
She is hellbound. Follow her, for we have such sights to show you.